Hi guys, today we are going to be learning how to make 3 different interactions using Figma. First of all, the horizontal scroll. I'll be showing you how to make elements move from left to right using Figma, and also the vertical scroll. I would also be showing you how to make elements move from top to bottom using Figma, and also last but not the least, the overlay. I'm going to be showing you how to make objects pop up on your screen using Figma. So let's get into it. New Figma file, and for this lesson we're going to be naming this one lesson 1. Then the next thing is to go to this hashtag looking icon here, click on the drop down and select frame. Now go to the right and select the type of frame you want to use. So this is the phone frame, this is the parent frame of the entire design on this particular screen. So I'm going with iPhone 13. And next I want to add a layout grid to my design. So just to guide my design so it is arranged and aligned. So if you already know about layout grids, you can add your own layout grid, but if you don't know about it, you can go with what I'm using here. And one of the tips of designing, do not design in plain white or plain black. So I'm changing the background color to F9 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 instead of FFFF, which is plain white. So next I want to add text on this screen. So I'm going back here to the top left, and I am selecting this T icon here. After selecting T icon, just go to the screen, tap on where you want to add the text and start typing. Now I want to edit this text because it's a heading, so I don't want it to be that small. So I want to go with 20 here, and I want to change the weight to medium. I want to change the font type to Satoshi. And of course I want to change the color. So yeah, so after adding your first text, now I want to add the subtext. I can click on Ctrl+D or Command plus D on a Mac and duplicate this and move it down using the arrow keys on your keyboard. And for my subtext, I want to make it smaller, and I want to reduce the weight. So here I'm going to add a text that says recipes curated just for you. So I'm not really working a lot with the spacing, but we'll talk about spacing later in the course. So now I have the header text and I have my subtext, and I want to start creating the image carousels. A quick way to access the frame panel here is to just click F on your keypad, and instead of going to the right to pick a frame, since we already have a parent frame, I want to draw this particular frame inside the parent frame. You're just going to click here and drag, and you have a frame. So I'm just going to add a few to this frame so it's more visible. Yeah. And I want to give it a corner radius. I want to make the corners rounded. So I'll come here and here the corner radius, and I'm going to give it a corner radius of 16 pixels. So here's rounded, which is nice. Next I want to add a subtext here that says cake or sponge cake recipe, or it says simple sponge cake. I want this to be a bit more visible because this is the heading, and I want to, okay, I think this text is enough. So I'm going to be putting both of them in an auto layout. So I don't want to say a lot about auto layout now since this is a beginner course. So I'm just going to show you basically how to add an auto layout to two components on the screen. So you select both components that I'm selecting. You can see what you're selecting by the left side of your screen. I'm selecting the simple sponge cake text, and I'm also selecting the frame which I created before for my carousel, and I'm going to come here and add an auto layout to it. So my auto layout is left aligned. The spacing is 16, which I think is too much, so I want to make this 8. So clicking on F on my keyboard to create a frame, I want to put this discover and recipes created for you in a frame. So I come here, I click and I drag. So to be sure that this particular objects or this particular elements in the design are in the frame, you come to the right and you can see that this is the frame I just created, and recipes created for you and discover are inside this frame, which is good, which is what I want. And for this one, I want to put this in a frame also, so I would also click on F, click and drag, and I'm going to be showing you why it's important to put your designs in a frame. So here you can see that this auto layout, these three icons here, it shows that it's an auto layout. This auto layout I just created is inside this frame I just made. So next I just want to make sure that there is no space between the frames. So to check the spacing between two objects on your design, you can click on the option key on the Mac and you can see the space between two objects. You can also click on the option key to duplicate two objects. Just click on option and hold just hold the option key, click on the object you want to duplicate and drag. So it's kind of like useful. So now I want to close the space between these two objects. So since that is done, I want to duplicate this frame here, this auto layout frame which I created. So you can click on, you can do Ctrl+D, or you can click on the option or the Alt key on PC and drag, which duplicates. So next, I also want to put these two frames, these two objects, that's frame 2 and frame 3. I want to put them in another auto layout. So auto layout auto layout actually does a lot during design, but for this particular design, I want to use it to align my design and also to create an external frame, which I'll be using for the horizontal scroll later on in the course, or rather later on in this course. So I am selecting both frame 2 and frame 3, and I'm coming here and creating another auto layout which is also left aligned, and I want the spacing to be 16 pixel. Also I want three image carousels, so I'm going to be duplicating this particular carousel here in the auto layout by clicking Ctrl+D, and it's duplicated, but I can't see the image I just duplicated, but I want to see it, so I can actually edit it. So I come here, I come to the parent frame, which is iPhone 13, and I click on it. I come to the right, this clip content basically hides the external contents that are overlapping on the screen. That's what it does. So turning it off is going to show me the content that is outside the screen, but I still can't see the content outside the screen, and I'm wondering why. So I come here to the other frame which I created that has the auto layouts frames in them, and I also unclip the contents here, and now I can see the frame. So next I want to put in images here, and a very simple way to do that is to come to this icon here that has 3 boxes and a plus, and you click on it. It says resources. When you hover around it, you click on it and you come to plugins. For plugins, I want to add images from Unsplash. Unsplash is a really nice place where you can get different images for your projects, and it's really nice because it's already on Figma as a plugin, and you can just click on it and add images directly without having to download the images. So now that we have Unsplash open, we're just going to search for cake images. So I click on the frame and I click on the image. It's really simple using Unsplash to add images into your files or into your designs. Oh, this is taking time. Let me try these other ones. Yeah, so that's how simple it is. And I'll try something else here. Yeah, so now we have 3 different cake images here, which is nice, and here we're going to have to like edit the names just so the content is different. So one way to easily change your text colors or a particular color in your design is, after designing, you can click on the frame and just come here and edit the color. So that's a simple way. So I'm just going to design straight and edit later. So here we have chocolate. Got you. I'm not even sure that if that's how that's spelled, but buttercream cake. At least I know a little bit about cakes. And now we have our cake carousels, but we want to make this scroll when we play it on our prototype, because right now if you play it in your prototype, it doesn't scroll. If you try to scroll, it does not scroll. So I'm going to come here. Now this is why, and this is also okay. No, this is not where I'm going to show you why you need the frames, but I'm going to show you why you need the auto layout. So these carousels are in an auto layout, and you come to the right side of your screen and you come to prototype here and you click on it. So here we have different settings. We have overflow, no scrolling. We have show prototype settings. This is basically the phone frame, which is going to be shown here. It's just a way to edit this, but for now we don't want to work with the prototype settings, so we come back here and click here. And for scrolling, we want a horizontal scroll. So in this overflow we have horizontal, we have vertical, and we have both directions. But for this particular lesson, we are going with horizontal scroll, this particular element. So if after choosing horizontal scroll and we come back here, it's still not scrolling. So an easy way to make it scroll is to the parent frame, which is the auto layout, which contains the 3 frames. Remember, we created different auto layouts. We have the one that has just an image and a text, but in this case you're clicking on the parent auto layout that contains the 3 carousels, and you drag it to the side of the screen where you want the scroll to stop. And next we come here and it's scrolling. Voila. That's simple. And I just want to clip this content because I don't want to see things overflowing. And next we want to work on the vertical scroll. So for the vertical scroll, we're just going to be adding text here, and to add text, instead of coming here to click on T, you can just press T on your keyboard and start typing. So I'm just going to put continue watching here. So these are basically videos of continue reading, recipes that the user was watching or reading before. So next, remember I talked about adding components or elements of your design in a frame. So I've put continue reading in a frame, and here I want to create a frame for an image. So to create a perfect frame, you have to hold shift on your keyboard while dragging the frame to create a perfect frame with the same dimensions, the same width and height. But if you just want to draw a random frame, you can just draw. But if you want to draw a perfect frame, you have to hold shift on your keyboard and drag. So here I want to, this frame size is enough, and I'm going to add a fill so it's more visible. And I'm going to give it a border radius of 8. No, I'll just do 16 again. Oh, I mistakenly duplicated this frame. It's just meant to be one here. And yeah, I want to add text here that says rich salad, high or healthy rich salad. So this is just a description. Next, I'm going to be putting this in an auto layout and also putting this in an auto layout. So next, you just duplicate as much as you want. And an easy way to just keep duplicating is to put both elements in an auto layout again. In this way, I'm going to use a lot of auto layouts actually. and duplicate, and press Ctrl plus D, which duplicates it really fast. So yeah, I want to add images here, so I would come back here and come to Unsplash, and I'm going to search for salad and just throw images in, make it look good. You can use whatever image you want into the frames, just random images. This is usually faster. I don't know why it's really slow today. So I'm just going to fast forward this so it doesn't take time. Okay, so cool. So now we just have to edit the names, changing this to fruit salad, changing this to cracker salad, even if there's nothing like that, changing this to berry salad. Alright, so now we have all of this in an auto layout, and we want this to scroll under this text, continue reading when we scroll. So let's expand this, because we need to have extra content that actually comes up when the user scrolls. So we unclip the content, we come here, add extra images. Alright, this is set. So now we come back to prototype here, and we can see this has the position, which the other one did not have, and I'm going to show you why. Because this is not in a frame yet. So if we put this, give me a minute. If we put this in a frame, so like you've seen, I just drew the frame and it's actually not inside. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to unclip this. I'm going to clip this content and redraw my frame. Still not in. Now if you draw a frame and you notice that the elements I'm trying to put into this frame are not actually in the frame, you can manually do that by tapping on the element. So this is expanded, so you can just close it. Check for your frame, which should be this frame, and it's inside this frame, which is a problem. So what you can do is to drag it out, and so it's no longer inside this frame, and this is the element you're trying to put into it, so you drag this into it. So now we have this frame and we have the elements in it. So now another thing we want to do is to go back and unclip our content, also come to the frame and unclip the content, because this is now inside this frame, and you tap on the content you're trying to scroll vertically. You click on prototype, and then you come to, if you notice, the position is no longer here because now our component is inside the frame. So we click on vertical scroll, the same thing we did for horizontal scroll. We drag it to the level where we want it to scroll to, and then we close, and we come to our prototype, our preview, and we scroll. Now the problem is, when we scroll, the content comes on top the other content, and we want it to go under the other content. Now how do you solve that? This is where now you can clip your content back, and this is where these frames come into play. So at this top we do not have any frame, so I'm just going to create a frame here because the date and time is meant to be here, but it's not added in this design, so I'm just going to create a frame here. So now we have frames at every point in the design, and we want this to scroll and go under these frames. So I come to every frame, I come here, I go into my prototype settings, and this position which we hid in the vertical scroll, we are going to come to this position and fix it, make it fixed for every frame above what we want to scroll. So yeah, let's try again. So I put every frame above in a fixed position except the frame which I want to scroll vertically. So I come back to design and I go to my preview, and let's see. Oh, it's still not, it's still not scrolling under. Now one thing you want to do here to make sure that this scrolls under is you have to check these frames and make sure they all have a fill. So now these frames don't have a fill, which is why the content scrolls below it and it's still showing. But we can add a fill here, which is the same color with our background color, and we replay this. So now we can see that we have our vertical scroll ready, and the content scrolls just as we want it to. What I want to do is I want to see a pop-up whenever I click on this buttercream cake. I want to see an overlay come up. So to create that overlay, I'm going to duplicate this screen. So one tip for creating seamless prototypes is to always duplicate your screen. So for overlays, it's not actually important, but I'm just used to duplicating screens. So I'm making this as short as I want it to be, and I'm going to add a corner radius. But for my overlay, I want to add a corner radius to just the two sides of the top. So I come here. If I add a corner radius here, it's going to be on all sides. Let me change the color of the background so you can see. Yeah, you can see that this corner radius is on all sides, but I want it to be just on the two sides. So I come here, this shows independent corners. So you can change your corner radius differently here. So I want it to just be at the two sides of the top. So here I change it to 0, here I change it to 0. So we have I have what I want here and back here. So here I want to be able to see more information about this. So I'm drawing a frame that is going to be containing this cake. So to get this image, I go back on Unsplash. So nice, and I want to add text here, buttercream cake, preparation 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I want this to be smaller. And I want to add a button here. So simple button, just draw a frame here with the color you want for the button. So now I'm just going to use let me just use this. No, I actually don't like this color. I'm going to use something. Oof, colors are hard to pick. Okay, I'll just use this, and I'm going to give it a corner radius and add a call to action here. Start preparing. I want this to be more visible. So yeah, I want this screen to pop up, to come from below whenever I click on this. So now I go back to my prototype, and I go to this particular screen. Let me go to my design, this auto layout screen which I created for the buttercream cake and the image. And in prototype here, you're going to see this plus button here. So this is, it's on every side of the elements you want to prototype, so you can draw it from any side. So I just click on here and drag to the screen, and it creates a connection. And this is a prototype setting. So now on tap, when I tap on this, I want to be able to open this overlay, and I want it to move in, actually, because I want it to come from under. I want it to move in from under, and I want it to be linear, and I want the time to be, let's say, 200 milliseconds. Now, do I want it to have a background when it comes up? Yes, I do. So let me just say I want this to have a background of 70%, a dark background of 70%. And I want to be able to click on the end part of the screen to close the overlay. So these are the settings we're going to be using for this interaction. So I close it and I come into my preview mode. I click on this and it is in the middle of the screen. Now, why is that? In my prototype settings here, it is centered. Overlay setting is centered, but I want it to come from the bottom center. So I click on bottom center here. So you can do bottom left, depending on what you are prototyping, but for this interaction I'm using bottom center. And I come here. Wow. So I click on it, it comes up. I click out, it goes up, it goes off. So yeah, we have our prototype interaction.